Today is day 6. I have a funeral outfit on. I'm headed to a funeral after this. So, I don't have my normal attire on, but day 6. So let's get to that. So let's do a little review first before we just kind of hop into it. But just say the answers in your head if you could. But how fast are we going to go in an alley? 10. How fast are we going to go in the country? 55. You want to make sure when you're parallel parked, you are no closer than 12 inches or 1 foot from the curb. You're not allowed to pass within how many feet of anything? So like an intersection, underpass, tunnel, railroad, that's all going to be 100. So you're not allowed to pass within 100 feet of anything. And then blinkers are also 100. What about, what does a flashing red light mean? Treat it like a stop sign, first person to get there, first person to go. What about that law that you can get a ticket for? So if you're on the freeway and you're going the speed limit, and you can get a ticket for going the speed limit, what's that law called? That would be the Minnesota Basic Speed Law. You can get a ticket for going the speed limit, okay? Never drive faster than reasonable under existing conditions. What about when can you make a left turn on a red light? That's going to be from a one-way road onto another one-way road. Okay. What about hand placement on the steering wheel? That is going to be, I have a little diagram here for you. I suppose I can get this out of the way. Right here, you can see 8 and 3, 9 and 4 is what we want right here in the red. 10 and 2 is what we want to avoid. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I have a couple of pictures of it. Maybe this one will be bigger. Nope, they're all kind of the same. They're really small. Can you see this one? Nope, they're all small. So hopefully you get the idea. But 9 and 3, 8 and 4, and we're going to avoid that 10 and 2. That's a little bit above it. Okay. Stop my share here. There we go. What about what is that sign that's underneath the railroad if fewer than 5 trains go over that track a year? That would be the exempt sign. So if you see the exempt sign underneath the railroad, that means certain cars and buses are not required to stop that usually are required. That means that that track gets used fewer than 5 times a year. What about if you see white lines in the center of the road? What type of road are you on? A one-way or a two-way? White lines in the center. It's going to be a one-way, traffic flowing all in the same direction. What about red background? Is that used for guide signs or is that used for regulatory signs? Red background. Red is going to be used for regulatory, like stop signs, do not enters, wrong ways. It's telling you, it's prohibiting and commanding you, you cannot do this, okay? You can get a ticket for disobeying those regulatory signs. What about the green signs? Ooh, G and G, I always say green and guide, green and guide. That's how I remember it. All right, let's see what we got here for some more review. What about, so you had a question about hydroplaning. What do you think it means? We're going to learn that today. So make sure that you are paying attention to hydroplaning. What about dirty headlights? Reduce light output by as much as 75%. What about mufflers are to be in good working condition, not only to prevent loud noise, but to also prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. So especially in Minnesota, if you were to get stuck in the ditch in the snow, you'd want to make sure that your exhaust pipe is clear while you're waiting there for the tow truck, because all that exhaust while your car is running and you're probably sitting inside of it because it's chilly and you don't want to wait outside. But as you're in the ditch, make sure that you clear that exhaust pipe so all that exhaust can escape outside of the car while you're waiting there. So you know, if it is blocked, it's gonna wanna go somewhere, and it'll fill up inside of the car, and you could potentially pass away while you're waiting, for your tow truck driver. So make sure if you get stuck in the ditch, get outside, clear the exhaust pipe so um, you know, don't die of carbon monoxide poisoning. Yikes. What about your headlights and taillights? They need to be visible for 500 feet, okay? Ooh, today is a big day. You guys are gonna have a quiz on every distance that we've ever learned so far. We'll take a Kahoot on it first, and then I'll give you the fill in the blank distances worksheet. So hopefully that will be good review for you. Then we're gonna do a study guide. That's going to be 58 questions. And then you are going to have a chapter quiz. So we have a big day. In this chapter, a lot of good info, and this is going to be your last study guide. We had one in the first week, we had a study guide. This is our last study guide for this chapter, but you will have outline questions as I'm going through the chapter. So make sure that you are paying attention. We will have some videos, so just make sure you're staying tuned in and you are not sleeping. All right. So here we go. We're going to read chapter 6. So get that out for me, and I will play it here in just a second. Chapter 6. If you do not have a manual, you can Google Minnesota Driver's Manual, and it's the very first thing to pop up, okay? Chapter 6, here we go.
Chapter 6, Driving Conditions. This chapter provides guidance on how to drive safely in a variety of conditions. Using the SIPDE system, nothing you do will guarantee that others will see you. The only eyes you can really count on are your own. Experienced drivers make a practice of being aware of what is happening around them. They can create their driving strategy by using a system known as SIPDE, SIPD. SIPD is a 5-step process used to make appropriate judgments and apply them correctly in different traffic situations. Scan, identify, predict, decide, execute. Let's examine each of these steps. Scan. Search aggressively ahead, to the sides and behind to avoid potential hazards even before they arise. How assertively you search and how much time and space you have can eliminate or reduce the impact of a crash. Focus on finding potential escape routes around intersections, shopping areas, schools, and commercial zones. Search for oncoming traffic that may turn in front of you, traffic coming from the left and right, traffic approaching from behind, hazardous road conditions. Identify. Locate hazards and potential conflicts. Cars, motorcycles, or other vehicles may move into your path and increase the likelihood of a crash. Pedestrians and animals are unpredictable and make short, fast moves. Stationary objects, potholes, guardrails, bridges, roadway signs, hedges, or trees won't move into your path, but may influence your driving strategy. Predict. Consider speed, distance, and direction of hazards to anticipate how they may affect you. Cars moving into your path are more critical than those moving away or sitting still. Decide. Based on your prediction, decide what you would need to do if the situation changed quickly. You must be making decisions constantly to cope with constantly changing traffic situations. Execute. Carry out your decision. To create space and minimize harm, communicate your presence with lights and/or horn. Adjust your speed appropriately. Adjust your position and/or direction. 3-second rule. Applying the 3-second rule is a way to help keep a safe distance between your car and the vehicle ahead of you. This rule pertains to standard length vehicles driving in ideal conditions. Choose a fixed reference point at the side of the road ahead, such as a telephone pole, signpost, tree, or bridge. When the vehicle ahead of you passes the reference point, begin counting 1001, 1002, 1003. If you pass the reference point before you are through counting, you are following too closely. Gradually slow down until you have reached a safe following distance and speed. When road conditions are poor, or if you are driving a vehicle that is longer than the standard length, increase your following distance to a 4 or 5 second count. If the vehicle behind you is following too closely, slow down slightly and allow it to pass. Stopping distance. The distance you need to stop your vehicle can determine a safe following distance, but your actual stopping distance will depend on many factors, including the time it takes a driver to see and recognize that there is a danger ahead. The length of time from perception of danger to using the brakes happens in 3/4 seconds. Weather conditions, condition of your tire treads, type and condition of your brakes. Night driving. Although there is usually less traffic at night, nearly half of all fatal traffic crashes in Minnesota occur after dark. To help ensure that you reach your destination safely, study road maps and directions before starting out. Make sure that your vehicle lights are working and your windshield is clean and free of defects. Headlights. When you are within 1,000 feet of an oncoming vehicle, or following another vehicle at a distance of 200 feet or less, your headlights must remain on low beam. Your headlights must be turned on at sunset and used until sunrise. They must also be used during weather conditions that include rain, snow, hail, sleet, or fog, and any time you cannot clearly see the road ahead for a distance of at least 500 feet. Don't overdrive your headlights. You should be able to stop within the distance that your headlights illuminate the road. For most vehicles, this distance is no more than 350 feet on high beam. When driving in the dark, you may encounter glare from oncoming headlights or from the reflection of headlights in your rearview mirror. If you are blinded by the glare, use the white line along the edge of the road as a reference. For glare caused by headlights from behind you, use a day-night mirror or readjust your regular mirror. Freeway driving. Freeways are multi-lane divided highways with limited access from other roads. Because there are no stops or cross traffic, they permit you to travel long distances without stopping. Entering the freeway. Entry ramps are short, one-way roads that provide access to freeways. At the end of most entry ramps, you will find an acceleration lane that allows you to increase your speed in order to safely merge with traffic that is already on the freeway. To avoid disrupting traffic flow or cutting off other drivers when you merge, try to adjust your speed to accommodate vehicles already on the freeway. You must yield to other vehicles when you are merging. Use your turn signal to let other drivers know your intention. Watch for an opening in the nearest traffic lane and merge into the flow of traffic when you are able to do so. Illustration on page 68. 1. Accelerate. 2. Select a gap in traffic. Adjust speed. 3. Signal and move carefully into traffic lane. Continuing with the text. Do not stop on the ramp or in the acceleration lane unless it is absolutely necessary. When an acceleration lane is not available and a yield sign is posted on the entry ramp, obey the sign. Stop if it is necessary. Do not force your way into the lane of traffic. Freeway ramp meters. Ramp meters are used on many freeway entry ramps in the metropolitan area to reduce traffic jams, crashes, and to make merging onto the freeway easier. The meters are traffic signals placed about halfway down the entry ramp that are usually activated during peak travel hours. Red, yellow, and green lights indicate when drivers can proceed. It is illegal to go through the red light. Only one car may proceed each time the light is green. Freeway speed and lane use. Maintain the same approximate speed as surrounding vehicles when possible, but never exceed the posted speed limits. If you are driving at a slower speed than other traffic, stay in the lane nearest to the right side of the road. If you must change lanes to pass other vehicles or to leave the freeway, signal your intent and make sure your path is clear before moving over. Use of freeway or expressway shoulders by buses. Transit buses and metro mobility buses are permitted to use the shoulder of a freeway or expressway. Buses authorized to use the shoulder may be operated only when mainline traffic speeds are less than 35 miles per hour. Drivers of buses being operated on the shoulder may not exceed the speed of mainline traffic by more than 15 miles per hour and may never exceed 35 miles per hour. Drivers of buses being operated on the shoulder must yield to merging, entering, and exiting traffic and must yield to other vehicles on the shoulder. Message signs. Message and lane use signs on some freeways warn drivers of traffic crashes, stalled vehicles, or other traffic conditions ahead. Message signs may be activated when the state issues an AMBER, AMBER, America's Missing, broadcast emergency response, alert in response to a child abduction. The signs will provide information such as a vehicle description. Drivers who see a vehicle fitting the description or who have other information about the missing child will be asked to notify law enforcement. High occupancy vehicle lanes. These lanes are for use only by motorcycles, buses, and vehicles carrying 2 or more people. Freeway interchange. An interchange is the connection of a freeway to a road or another freeway by a series of ramps. The connecting roadways allow you to leave one road and enter another safely without disrupting the flow of traffic. These are the most common types of freeway interchanges: cloverleaf, folded diamond, diamond. Stopping, parking, and backing up. It is illegal to stop or park a motor vehicle on an interstate freeway except in the event of an emergency. Running out of fuel is not considered an emergency. If this occurs, you could receive a citation. If you must stop on the freeway because of an emergency, take the following actions. Park your vehicle on the shoulder as far from the main roadway as possible. Open the trunk and raise the hood or tie a white cloth to the radio antenna or a door handle. Use hazard warning lights if you have them. If you have flares or reflectors, place them from 100 to 500 feet behind your vehicle on the right edge of the main road. Stay with your vehicle if possible. If you must leave your vehicle, do not walk on the area of the highway reserved for vehicle traffic. This is illegal and extremely dangerous. It is illegal to back up or turn around on a freeway. An exception to this law applies to drivers of emergency and road repair vehicles. Drivers of these vehicles may back up or turn around, as necessary, to perform their duties. Emergency vehicles on the freeway. When you see the flashing lights of an ambulance, fire truck, or police car on the shoulder of the road, you must move a lane away from the emergency vehicle if it is possible to do so safely. If you are not able to safely move a lane away, slow down. When you see an emergency vehicle with its lights and siren activated behind you, move to the nearest side of the road and stop. Do not slam on the brakes or swerve into other lanes. Remember to use your turn signal. Remain stopped until the emergency vehicle has completely passed. Look for other emergency vehicles that may be following it before pulling out. Stay at least 500 feet back from any firefighting vehicle. Getting off the freeway. It is helpful to know, before you begin driving, where you need to exit the freeway. Watch for signs that provide information about upcoming exits. As you near the desired exit, signal your intent to change lanes and move into the deceleration lane when you can do so safely. This should provide time to slow down before you reach the exit ramp. It should also help you to avoid obstructing faster moving traffic. If you miss your exit, proceed to the next one. Do not back up or make a U-turn to return to the desired exit. Crashes. If you are involved in a crash that results in injury, stay where you are. If you are able to do so, call 911 or the nearest law enforcement agency for help. If the crash results only in property damage, move to a safe location. Do not step out of your vehicle until you have moved to a safe location away from traffic. Exchange driver's license and insurance information with the other driver or drivers. Write down the license plate numbers of other vehicles involved. You may also wish to exchange vehicle identification numbers. Call for law enforcement assistance if necessary. Distracted driving. Driver distraction or inattention is a leading factor in crashes in Minnesota, accounting for at least 25% of all crashes annually. Drivers who are distracted fail to recognize potential hazards on the road and react more slowly to traffic conditions, decreasing their margin of safety. There are three main types of driver distraction: visual, looking away from the road; mechanical or physical, taking hands off the wheel; cognitive, being lost in thought. Distractions inside the vehicle can include activities such as cell phone use, using a GPS, reaching for items, eating and drinking, adjusting the radio, talking to other passengers, and reading maps and other materials. Even when you are watching the road, behaviors such as looking at a crash scene or even daydreaming can divert attention from your driving responsibilities. For safety, make sure you give the task of driving your full attention at all times. There are certain driver behaviors that are illegal on Minnesota roads, specifically using a cell phone or wireless computer device for text messaging, emailing, or accessing the internet while driving, including while stopped in traffic. Drivers under age 18 with an instruction permit or provisional license using a cell phone, whether handheld or hands-free, except to call 911 in an emergency. Wearing headphones or earphones that are used in both ears simultaneously to listen to a radio or other sound-producing device. Aggressive driving. People who drive aggressively tend to have a low level of concern for other motorists. They exhibit anger and frustration while driving, not necessarily as a result of other drivers' actions, but because of their personal mindset. Aggressive driving usually involves driving faster than surrounding vehicles, which leads to behaviors such as following too closely, changing lanes frequently and abruptly, often without signaling, passing other vehicles on the shoulder, and glares at or threatening motorists around them. If you recognize your own behavior in this description, you should make a greater effort to stay calm while driving. It is important to share the road. Safe driving requires courtesy and cooperation from all drivers. If you are confronted by an aggressive driver, do not challenge him or her. Stay out of the person's way, avoid eye contact, and do not allow the situation to escalate. Obstructed view. It is illegal to drive a vehicle packed with a load or occupied by more than 3 people in the front seat if the items or people obstruct your view to the front or sides of the vehicle or interfere with your ability to control the vehicle. Carrying a projecting load. A load must not stick out more than 3 feet in front of the front wheels or bumper of any motor vehicle. If a load extends 4 feet or more from the rear of any vehicle, a red, yellow, or orange flag at least 16 inches square must be attached to the end of the load. At night, a red lantern or lamp, visible from a distance of at least 500 feet, must be attached to the end of the load. Passenger vehicles may not carry loads that extend beyond the line of the fenders on the left side and more than 6 inches beyond the fender line on the right side. Campers and trailers. If you pull a camper or trailer with your vehicle, you must maintain at least 500 feet following distance from other vehicles. When loaded, 10 to 15% of the trailer's weight should be balanced on the hitch between trailer and vehicle. When correctly loaded, the trailer's floor should be level. After the first few miles, Stop and check the hitch, tires, lights, and load. Repeat this process at all rest stops. Travel at a slower speed. Many trailers have smaller wheels that turn at a faster rate than your car wheels, resulting in heat buildup that can cause trailer wheel bearings to fail. Remember that the brakes on your vehicle probably were not designed to handle heavy trailer loads. A sudden stop at high speed could flip both the trailer and the car. Speed up carefully, using a lower gear if necessary. Maintain enough following distance to prevent the need for sudden stops. When passing other vehicles, remember the additional length of your trailer and be aware that your ability to accelerate is reduced. Wind and rain will affect your ability to handle and control a vehicle pulling extra weight. When towing a trailer or camper in wet or windy conditions, reduce your speed more than you would normally do in such weather. Allow plenty of room for turns. Long trailers will swing closer to the edge of the road than your vehicle. Pay extra attention to your vehicle's cooling system when towing extra weight. Your engine will overheat more easily in warm weather, at high speeds, and in hilly areas. Trailer requirements. Measurements: maximum length 45 feet, maximum width 8 feet 6 inches, maximum height 13 feet 6 inches. Lights: tail lamps 2 red, reflectors 2 red, rear license plate 1 white. Trailer stop and turn signals must be used for night driving and whenever stop and turn signals on the towing vehicle are not visible to other drivers. The 102-inch width limit, 8 feet 6 inches, for recreational vehicles does not include attachments that do not extend beyond the vehicle's exterior rear view mirrors if the recreational vehicle is self-propelled. The width of a trailer may not extend beyond the exterior rear view mirrors of the towing vehicle. Type A, B, or C motorhomes may not be longer than 45 feet. The general length limit for single-unit vehicles is 40 feet. All trailers with a gross vehicle weight of 3,000 pounds or more must be equipped with brakes. All recreational trailers must have a clearly visible plate with a current registration. A safety chain must be permanently attached to the trailer and fastened to the vehicle used for towing. Recreational vehicle combinations. Recreational vehicle combination means a combination of not more than 3 vehicles consisting of a pickup truck or recreational truck tractor attached to a camper trailer that has hitched to it a trailer. The trailer may carry watercraft, motorcycles, motorized bicycles, off-highway motorcycles, snowmobiles, all-terrain vehicles, motorized golf carts, or equestrian equipment or supplies. You must be at least 18 years of age to drive a recreational vehicle combination. The towing rating of the pickup or recreational truck tractor must be equal to, or greater than, the total weight of all vehicles being towed. A recreational vehicle combination may not be more than 70 feet in length. A recreational vehicle combination may not be driven in the 7-county metropolitan area Monday through Friday during the hours of 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Winter driving. Vehicle safety. Remove snow and ice from your vehicle's hood, windows, and lights before driving. Make sure that your windshield wiper fluid contains antifreeze. Get the feel of the road. Try your brakes while driving slowly to test the road surface. Adjust your speed to road condition. Avoid using cruise control on slippery roads. If your vehicle becomes stuck on ice or snow, try to free your vehicle by rocking it back and forth. Keep the front wheels straight and slowly drive forward, then backward, as far as possible, without spinning the tires. Accelerate gently when the tires grip. If your vehicle starts to slide or your tires start to spin, apply the brake and repeat this operation in the opposite direction. Snow emergencies and parking rules. When a significant amount of snow accumulates, city officials may declare a snow emergency. Certain parking rules may go into effect while snow is removed from streets. Obey snow emergency parking rules to avoid towing and fines. Sharing the road with snowplows. When roads are covered with snow or ice, watch for the flashing white, yellow, and blue lights of snowplows. Never crowd a snowplow. Pass snowplows only when you can see the entire vehicle. Stay well behind plows to avoid any flying sanding materials, snow, and ice that could strike your vehicle. Be alert for dangerous snow clouds or whiteout conditions. Snowplows can create clouds of blowing snow that may conceal the road and hide driving hazards. Snowplows and other removal equipment often move at slow speeds. In residential areas, they may back up in order to turn around. Give equipment operators room to do their job safely. Winter survival. Keep a survival kit in your vehicle. For safety, it is important to assemble a winter survival kit to keep in any vehicle you drive. Some recommended items include shovel, container of sand or salt, warm clothing and footwear, red flag for your vehicle's antenna, blanket or sleeping bag, quick energy foods including water and an empty waste container, tow chain and tire chains, road flares or reflectors, jumper cables, candles and matches or a lighter, first aid kit. What to do if you become stranded? If you become stranded while traveling in cold weather, stay with your vehicle. Most deaths under these circumstances occur when people get out of their vehicles, become lost, and suffer prolonged exposure to the cold. Stay calm, wait for help to arrive, and take as many of the following steps as possible. Turn on your hazard warning lights. Attach a red flag to your radio antenna. Set out flags and flares if possible. If clothing, blankets, and other survival supplies are stored in trunk, bring them inside the vehicle. Keep the exhaust pipe clear of snow and debris. Run the engine and heater until the vehicle is reasonably warm, and then turn it off. Repeat this process as long as fuel is available or until you are rescued. Running the engine for approximately 10 minutes each hour in order to charge the battery and warm the interior is recommended. Even in extreme cold, leave at least one window partially open to let in fresh air. Occupants of an idling vehicle can suffer carbon monoxide poisoning if ventilation is not adequate. At least one person in the vehicle should remain awake at all times. Maintaining alertness and concentration. Becoming tired or sleepy while behind the wheel is a common yet very dangerous occurrence. To prevent this, be sure to get plenty of rest before starting out on a long drive. The following suggestions may help, but will have no lasting effect. Stop as often as you need to, at least once every 100 miles or every 2 hours. Get out of the car and walk, stretch, loosen up, and relax. Have something to eat or drink. If you have passengers, talk in order to stay alert. Ask someone else to drive when you begin to feel tired. If you are alone, listen to the radio or sing aloud. When the weather permits, open windows slightly to increase fresh airflow. Do not rely on stay awake drugs. If none of this works, stop for the day or park far from the road and rest. If you stay in the car, lock all doors and open windows slightly to let in fresh air. Skidding. When you are driving on a slippery road, slow down and maintain a safe distance from the vehicle in front of you. Do not use cruise control when the road surface is slippery. A vehicle skid occurs when tires lose their grip on the road surface. If this occurs, stay calm. Do not overreact or slam on the brakes. Instead, take your foot off the accelerator and brakes until you can turn in the desired direction. Some vehicles have an electronic anti-lock braking system that helps keep the vehicle under control while braking. If you have anti-lock brakes, do not pump them as you would regular brakes. Instead, press down on the brake pedal and continue to steer the vehicle until you regain control. If you are not sure if your vehicle has anti-lock brakes, read your vehicle's owner's manual for specific instructions. Driving in heavy rain or fog. If you encounter thunderstorms or fog, reduce speed, use extra caution, and be prepared to stop. Increase your following distance. Your headlights, by law, must be used at times when you cannot see more than 500 feet ahead and when it is raining, snowing, sleeting, or hailing. Keep them on low beam to reduce glare. If you cannot see a safe distance ahead, pull off the road and stop until visibility improves. Hydroplaning. At speeds of 35 mph or less, most tires will wipe water off the road surface to keep tires in contact with the road. At higher speeds, water can collect under tires and lift them off the surface of the road. This is called hydroplaning. When your tires hydroplane, they lose all contact with the road. If this occurs, you will be unable to brake, accelerate, or change direction. If your tires begin to hydroplane, take your foot off the gas pedal. Hydroplaning is less likely to occur at normal highway speeds if your vehicle is equipped with good tires that have deep treads, which will allow water to escape. But hydroplaning can occur at any speed if the depth of the water on the road is greater than the depth of the tire treads. In heavy rain, standard cars may begin to hydroplane at 35 mph. To prevent hydroplaning, keep your tires in good condition and reduce speed when driving on wet roads. Driving on narrow roads and hills. When you approach curves on narrow roads or in areas where brush and trees block your view of the road ahead, you can use your horn to warn other drivers or pedestrians that you are on the road. It is not advised to coast down steep hills with your transmission in neutral. On steep hills, check your speedometer frequently. Vehicle speed will increase even when your foot is not on the accelerator. Blowouts. A blowout is a burst tire that can throw your vehicle out of control. Before a blowout occurs, you may hear a thumping sound or notice the steering wheel pulling to the right or left. If you experience a blowout, hold the steering wheel tightly, steer straight ahead, and slowly ease your foot off the accelerator. Do not brake until the vehicle is back under your control. Pull the vehicle completely off the road at the nearest safe location. Steering failure. If the front wheels of your vehicle do not respond when you turn the steering wheel, ease up on the accelerator. Do not brake unless it is necessary to avoid a crash. Your vehicle may balance on its own and travel in a straight path as you reduce speed. If you must apply the brake, do so gently. If you brake suddenly or try to shift gears, the change in speed may throw the vehicle off balance and out of control. Brake failure. A brake pedal that sinks slowly when pressure is applied is one sign that your vehicle's brakes may be failing. A warning light should come on if there is a serious problem. If your brake pedal suddenly sinks all the way to the floor, try pumping the pedal to build pressure. If this does not work, slowly apply your emergency or parking brake. Applying the brake too abruptly could throw the vehicle into a skid. Remember, the emergency or parking brake engages only the rear brakes. If road conditions allow you to coast to a stop, shift your car into a lower gear. Continue to downshift as you decelerate until you can safely pull over and stop. Running off the pavement. If your wheels drift onto the shoulder of the road, do not try to swerve back onto the pavement. Stay on the shoulder and slowly release the gas pedal. After you have reduced your speed, turn back onto the pavement. Then speed up again. Watch out for deer. There are some things you can do to reduce your risk of hitting a deer. Deer are most active in the dusk to dawn hours, so you should be especially alert when driving during those times. Scan the sides of the road at night to watch for the reflection of your vehicle headlights in the eyes of deer. If you see such a reflection on the side of the road, slow down, blow the horn, and be ready to stop. Always watch for more than one deer. While deer crossings typically occur in rural settings, deer sometimes wander into towns or even cities. Deer may cross anywhere, anytime. Vehicle approaching in your lane. If a vehicle is traveling toward you in your lane, move to the right. Do not use the left lane to avoid the vehicle. The driver may return to the correct lane and will then be in your path. If the vehicle continues toward you, steer off the road to the right if it is necessary to avoid a crash. Sounding your horn and flashing your headlights may help a sleepy or distracted driver to become alert. Vehicle trying to pass you. Another driver may wish to pass you on a two-lane road with traffic moving in both directions. If the driver misjudges the speed of oncoming traffic or is unable, for another reason, to complete the pass, you and the other drivers are all in danger. You must act to prevent a crash. If the passing vehicle is nearly in position to move back into the right lane, slow down and allow the driver to complete the pass as quickly as possible. If the passing vehicle must drop back, speed up to make sure there is adequate room for the vehicle to move into the lane behind you. If a crash seems probable and the right shoulder is wide enough for your vehicle, quickly move to the right and allow the passing vehicle to move into your lane. Stalling on railroad tracks. If your vehicle becomes stalled on railroad tracks and a train is approaching, leave the vehicle. Keeping a safe distance from the tracks, walk quickly in the direction from which the train is approaching to avoid being struck by debris from the collision. Flooded roadways. Flooding can occur when streams and rivers flow over their banks, when dams or levees break, when there is runoff from deep snow, or any time there is heavy rainfall. Floodwaters can be found on roads, bridges, and low areas. Flash floods can come rapidly and unexpectedly. They can occur within a few minutes or hours of excessive rainfall. Do not drive through flooded areas. If you see a flooded roadway ahead, turn around and find another route to get to your destination. Be cautious, especially at night when the visibility is limited. Remember, 6 inches of water will reach the bottom of most passenger cars, causing loss of control or possible stalling. 2 feet of moving water can carry away most vehicles, including sport utility vehicles and pickup trucks. Even if the water appears shallow enough to cross, do not attempt to cross a flooded road. Water can hide dips, or worse, floodwaters can damage roadways by washing away the underlying road surface. If there is no other route, proceed to higher ground and wait for the waters to subside. Plunging underwater. Most vehicles will float on the surface of water from 30 to 60 seconds. If your vehicle enters deep water, make every attempt to get out of the vehicle immediately. If possible, exit the vehicle through open windows before the water reaches the window level. If your vehicle becomes submerged, try not to panic. Vehicle doors cannot be opened until water pressure inside the car is equal to that outside. When the vehicle is completely filled, doors can be opened if there is no structural damage. The weight of the engine will cause the front end of the car to sink first. The rear passenger compartment may provide an air pocket while you plan your escape strategy. If there are other people in the vehicle, determine their condition and try to exit the vehicle together. Fire. If you notice smoke rising from beneath the hood of your vehicle, pull off the road, turn off the ignition, and exit the vehicle immediately. Do not use water to put out the fire. This will actually spread the blaze. Overheating. Most vehicles have dashboard gauges or lights that indicate the engine temperature. Activities such as driving in stop-and-go traffic on a hot day, driving on steep inclines, and towing a trailer can cause your engine to run hotter than normal. When your engine becomes hot, turn off any unnecessary vehicle equipment such as air conditioning. If the temperature is still too high, Turning on the heater will help draw hot air away from the engine. If these techniques do not work and engine temperature suddenly increases or steam rises from the engine, pull over to the side of the road, stop the vehicle, and turn off the ignition immediately. Headlight failure. If your headlights suddenly go out, try your parking lights, hazard warning lights, or turn signals. One of them may work and give you enough light to guide you off the road. If your headlights fail on a busy or lighted road, you will probably have enough light to guide you. If all your lights fail on a dark, deserted road, slow down and keep your vehicle on the pavement until you can move safely onto the shoulder. Windshield wiper failure or sudden opening of hood. If your windshield wipers suddenly fail in blinding rain or snow, slow down and activate your hazard warning lights. Do not reduce your speed drastically if other vehicles are behind you. Pull off the road and move to a safe location as soon as possible. If the hood of your vehicle suddenly opens, obstructing your view, you may be able to see through the space between the hood and dashboard. If this is not possible, roll down the window and lean over to look past the side of the hood. Activate your hazard warning lights, reduce speed, and choose a safe path to steer off the road. Stuck gas pedal. If your gas pedal sticks, you may be able to free it by hooking your toe under the pedal and raising it. If this does not work, apply the brakes and shift into neutral. This will disengage the engine. Next, choose a safe path and steer to the shoulder of the road. If the shoulder is not paved, switch on your hazard lights and continue steering the vehicle in a straight path until you can safely pull over to the shoulder of the road. Carbon monoxide poisoning and safety tips. Carbon monoxide is a deadly, odorless, and colorless gas produced by engines. It can collect inside your vehicle when the windows are closed, or in your garage if your engine is idling. The only cure for carbon monoxide poisoning is a good supply of fresh air. Early symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning include sudden fatigue, headache, dizziness, and nausea. If you experience any of these symptoms, open the windows, turn off the ignition, and get out of the vehicle or garage as soon as possible. Have the vehicle's exhaust system inspected if you suspect the exhaust system is leaking. Carbon monoxide poisoning occurs most frequently during winter months when vehicle windows tend to be closed. When temperatures are cold, carbon monoxide can get trapped inside the garage even when the garage door is open completely. Carbon monoxide can seep into an attached house. Carbon monoxide can render a person unconscious within a few minutes. To reduce the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning and possibly death, avoid idling a vehicle in a garage. A safer place to warm up a vehicle is in the driveway. Avoid sitting in a vehicle with the engine idling. Do not drive with all windows tightly closed. Avoid idling a vehicle when stuck in the snow or the mud. Make sure your vehicle's exhaust system does not leak and is not blocked. Periodically allow fresh air into the vehicle by lowering the windows.
All right. So chapter 6, we did it. Let's see here. All right, so we're gonna go back to the beginning and we're gonna highlight. So move your, or turn back to the beginning of the chapter there for me. Right, so first things first, let's get to highlighting. So take out that like outline thing that we do while I read. There's not many questions today because you guys have a lot of work, but I still want to like make sure that you actually watch this video. So I have to do that. Otherwise, I feel like you guys would just skip right through if we don't have the actual like outline deal. I know how kids are. All right. So the first thing we're going to highlight is SIPDE, SIPDE. That stands for Scan, Identify, Predict, Decide, Execute. So like when I'm driving down the road, I always want to be scanning ahead, looking for traffic. I always want to be able to identify objects. Is it a deer? Is that deer going to run across the road? Is it a ball that's rolling into the street? And is there going to be like a kid that's going to be chasing after it? So you have to be thinking about all those things all the time. Okay. It's not just you on the road. You got to be thinking about what everybody else is doing. I always tell kids, I'm not afraid of my driving. I'm afraid of everybody else's. I don't know if someone else is texting and driving. I don't know if someone didn't securely put their load on the back of their trailer and strap it down accordingly. I remember 2 weeks ago, I was driving on Highway 65 and there was a guy driving with a trailer and he had a four-wheeler on the back, didn't even strap it down. And I seen it like wobbling back and forth. So I'm like, I was scanning ahead. I identified that and I moved over. And I was like, dude, that four-wheeler is going to fall off of that trailer. As soon as I passed him and went a little bit before, I seen that four-wheeler just rolling right off and went into the ditch. So you need to be aware of everything. That's why texting and driving is so lame because it's like, I know people do it. I see people do it all the time, but it's like you're supposed to be focusing on everything else on the road, and people are trying to drive and trying to text. That's why I hate it. It's just like there's so much stuff going on. The phone is not necessary. Okay. Do not text and drive. So you always want to be scanning ahead, being able to identify objects, predict, is that deer going to run across? Is that dog going to run across? You're going to decide what you're going to do and you're going to actually execute it. I know that this does not sound super cool, but they always say the best idea if you do have like an animal that's coming out, especially if it's like icy or something like that, it's always the better idea to hit the animal. I know that sounds so sad. I'm not asking you to like go out and look for your neighbor's dog to hit. I'm just saying like if you're driving down the road and someone's right behind you and a deer comes, sometimes it's best to hit the animal. I know, sad. Okay, 3-second rule. We're turning the page here. Oh, I should get that manual up for you guys. I know you like when I put it up there. So let's see here. We're gonna share my screen. We'll go to the Minnesota. There we go. Come on, baby. Maybe we won't. Maybe my man, maybe he doesn't want to go to Google. Go to Google. No. Let's try this again. Maybe I'll do it without sharing my screen and then I'll share it. Technology. www.google. Maybe I'll try it again in a minute, but we'll keep on going. So I turned the page. We are now on the second page of chapter 6. Okay. So the 3-second rule, that is the ideal following distance you want to be from the car in front of you. Okay. If it's snowing out or if it's raining out, maybe use more. More is always better. 3 is just the minimum here in the state of Minnesota. So when I'm driving on the freeway, I want to find a fixed reference point. As soon as the car in front of me passes that fixed reference point, then I'm going to start counting 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, and I'm in hopes that I pass that object at 3, so I know that I'm the ideal following distance away. I say stationary object because obviously you don't want to like choose a dog for a reference point. Dogs are going to be moving around, you know. So you want to find a stationary, a fixed object point. A signpost would probably be the best idea. Snowy or rainy day, always more. 3 is just the minimum, but obviously more is always better. Someone slams on their brakes in front of you, you don't want to be like smashing into them and sitting in their back seat. Not ideal. Headlights. When you're within 1,000 feet of an oncoming vehicle, you must turn your high beams or your brights down. Okay, so we're on the headlights tab now. Let me try this one more time. I hate when you guys can't see it. Google. I'm gonna let it just sit there and think about it while I keep on talking. And then it also talks about on headlights how you want to dim your high beams or your brights 200 from behind, so 1,000 oncoming, 200 from behind, and then your headlights and tail lights need to be visible for 500 feet. And it also says, don't overdrive your headlights. You should be able to stop with the distance of your headlights illuminate on the road. For most cars, this is 350 feet. I was always so confused by that. I was like, what do you mean? How would I ever be able to drive faster than the speed of light? How am I supposed to drive faster than my headlights are on in front of me? I was always confused by that until it actually happened to me. But it was snowing, that really thick snow here in Minnesota. And it was so thick that I was driving and I just couldn't see through the snow. I was driving faster than my headlights could illuminate. So I know that that sounds weird, but it's definitely a possible thing. They talk a lot about it in snowmobile safety because obviously snowmobilers are driving in the snow and that's when it happens most often. Okay, then we are going to go over to The left-hand lane over here, we're gonna talk about entering the freeway. Do you have the right of way when you are merging onto the freeway? The answer is no. Okay. Here, I'm gonna try to put on my hotspot. Maybe that'll work better because I have to play a video as well. And this internet here is being wonky today. So let's go to personal hotspot. We'll turn that bad boy on and we'll be in business. Okay. Perfect. Now she works. All right. So the left-hand lane law. So when you're merging onto the freeway, you do not have the right of way. You don't. But other drivers that are already on the freeway, should we move over and let those people that are coming down on? You bet. But do you have to? No. Another question. So there are 3 lanes on the freeway. The far left-hand lane is used for slower, fast-moving traffic. What do you think? Far left-hand lane. That's going to be used for fast. And in the far right-hand lane, that's going to be the slow lane. My question is to you, if you are in the fast lane on the freeway, you're going 70, that's the max speed, and someone's behind you, and I can clearly tell that they want to go around me. What do I need to do as a driver? Should I just stay in that lane? I'm going the speed limit, who cares? Or should I move over? The answer is move over. You do not want to impede traffic. You need to make sure that you are moving over, you're reducing road rage and all that stuff. I have a short little video for you. And there is going to be your very first question is coming up right now. And we'll talk about it after this show plays. It's very short. Oh. I swear this internet in here is silly today. Maybe I just won't make it so big. Let's see. There we go.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Gordon Shank with the Minnesota State Patrol. You might have heard about the left lane law requiring drivers to only use the left lane for passing. Keep in mind, this is not a new law, but rather new language that modernizes the law. The new language states a driver can use the left lane to pass slower moving vehicles, and that the driver must move back into the right lane when practicable. The law includes a $50 fine for drivers who fail to move back to the right lane, the same fine that was previously in place. This does not allow a person to go above the speed limit. We've had lots of questions about that. If a driver is going the speed limit in the left lane and another speeding motorist comes up from behind, move over for that speeding vehicle when possible to avoid a road rage incident. If you witness a driver speeding or conducting dangerous behavior on the road, you can always find a safe location and call 911 to report the incident. Remember, traffic moves most efficiently when everyone is traveling at or about the same speed, which again cannot be above the posted speed limit or faster than conditions might allow.
All right, so that is going to be your question number 1. It says, how much is the fine for not moving over? And if you saw in that video, it's $50, okay? All right, now we're gonna go up to Google again because now it'll work that my hotspot's on. Minnesota manual. There we be. Perfect. Sometimes that internet in here, I tell you. All right, I'm gonna share my screen with you. We're gonna go to chapter 6. Oops, they're going so fast. Here we are. So yes, when you are merging onto the freeway, like these yellow cars, the blue cars should move over, but they don't have to. The yellow cars do not have the right of way, okay? And then we just watched that video about that. You just answered question number 1. And then we're gonna talk about freeway ramp meters, okay? So that is, I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm a visual gal. You guys know that. All right, right here. Right here. So these are the freeway ramp meters right here. There'll be one right here, and there will be another one right here. And you just alternate traffic right here. Okay. So only in the morning and in the evening, these freeway ramp meters will be on. Okay. So like rush hour, early in the morning, later in the evening, these things will go through the colors, the cars will line up. They'll go one and then the other. If they're not in working order, that just means that you can just drive right through them. It's not rush hour time. Okay, maybe you've never even seen it before because During rush hour, you're usually in school, okay? They're not on the weekends. All right, going back to this right here. So then we are gonna go to, turn the page, we're gonna talk about the interchanges. So there are 4 interchanges. So if anyone ever asks, what are the interchanges? You will list right here, the clover leaf, the folded diamond, the diamond, and the DDI. So number 2 on your study guide, it asks, where is the closest DDI? And you are going to say, does anyone know where the closest DDI is? It's actually right by Running Aces in Forest Lake. So Running Aces is going to be your quiz question. Okay, so check that out next time you're there. And then we do have the Diamond in Forest Lake. It's right by like Taco Bell. That's where the freeway goes underneath, the bridge goes over the top, and you can get off and on the freeway right there. Same as in North Branch, kind of like by the outlet mall. Those will be the off and on exits, the freeway over top. That's going to be the Diamond. You can get off and on the ramp. Folded Diamond, that's in like Hugo. Cloverleaf, that's like Roseville Mall. But we're talking about number 2. It says, where's the closest DDI? You're going to say Forest Lake Running Aces. That's going to be number 2. Okay, if you could write right by your diagram right here, or if you have a notebook, because you don't have a manual, I mean, I hope you have a manual, but you never know. But right up here, if you do have a manual, if you could write down the safety benefits of a DDI, fewer conflict points. That's definitely a permit test question, so I need you to write that down, but the DDI has fewer conflict points. Okay, then we're gonna go to stopping, parking, and backing up. It is completely illegal to stop, park, back up on a freeway. Don't do it. Not allowed. Not okay. If you miss your exit, go to the next one. Then we're going to go to crashes. Okay. Crashes. Big thing. I'm going to show you kind of a video about trailer loads and things like that. If you have like a load of wood or something like that that you got from Menards or Home Depot and it's extending out of your vehicle, you need to make sure that you put a red flag at the end of the wood, and that they do have those little tiny, it's like a little tiny warming house, it almost looks like. And then there's a ton of red flags in there, and they have like a stapler, and they have like twine that you can attach to the end of your load. Also, it talks about loads and trailers and things like that, right size ball hitches and things. But we're gonna first watch a video about crashes, what to do on a crash. Okay, so we'll talk about that first, and then we'll move on to the trailer one right after this. But crashes, honestly, you guys take pictures of everything. So now's your time to shine. If you were to ever get into an accident with someone, you want to take a picture of everything. Take a picture of their insurance card, take a picture of their driver's license, take a picture of the scene, take a picture of the damage, take a picture, everything. Okay, their driver's license and insurance card is going to be number 1. So when you go back to your house and you need to file a claim, it is so easy to do that. You can be like, the insurance company will be like, who is their insurance company? Well, if you have a picture of their insurance card, it says it at the top. Well, who did you get into an accident with? Well, if you took a picture of their driver's license, it says their home address and their first, middle, and last name. What kind of car did you get into an accident with? Well, if you have a picture of their insurance card, it says the make, model, year of their car and their VIN number. So you need to make sure that you take a picture of everything. If you would like a smooth process with your insurance company, if you can give them all that information right away, your claim process is definitely going to be faster. Right now, I'm going through the claim process. I actually just had an adjuster here, but one of my instructors hit a deer with the driver's ed car. So they came out here, they did the process. It was so nice and fast and easy because they have all of the information. Granted, there wasn't another car that we got into an accident with, thank goodness. But if there was, I would have provided them all of that information. So it would have been a fast process. Okay, because sometimes it's a little bit slow. If you don't have all the information, then you guys are playing phone tag. It's a mess. So here is a short video about if you were to ever get into an accident, this is what you got to do. Oh, and they're going to say, don't admit fault. So pay attention to what that means. Don't admit fault. They'll talk about it here in this video.
Being involved in a traffic collision can be traumatic, even when everyone walks away uninjured. It's important to know what to do after a crash so you can keep stress under control. Here are 3 simple steps to take after you've been in the collision. It's as easy as A, B, C. First, A is for assist the injured. Your first duty is to quickly check for injured people and call 911. If you're certified to render first aid, Do so to address blocked breathing, shock, and severe bleeding. If not, make the injured comfortable as you wait for emergency services. Second, B is for be visible. It's critical now to control the scene, and that means making sure that the scene is visible to approaching drivers. If possible, move vehicles out of the path of traffic and use hazard flashers, flares, and reflective triangles to warn any approaching drivers. Third, C is for communicate. If your call to 911 did not summon the police, you may need to contact them directly. They will prepare any needed reports containing details about the collision, which may be needed later for insurance and other purposes. It's worth noting that you should avoid admitting responsibility or discussing the circumstances involved with anyone other than the police or an authorized claims representative. Collision scenes are stressful for everyone involved, so try to keep your cool and be polite and helpful with everyone at the scene. A collision can be a real pain, but it doesn't have to turn into a nightmare. By following these steps immediately after a collision, you'll be prepared to deal with anything that follows.
So don't admit fault is what he means is, like if you got into an accident, most of the time, like, especially if you're a new driver and you're like so concerned, like, oh my God, I just ruined my mom's car. I'm so sorry, it's all my fault. So you don't want to say it was all your fault. You can obviously be remorseful, but let a police officer come to the scene. If there's some footage that they need to review, take both sides of the story, your story, their story. I mean, maybe there was a red light and they blew it and you didn't know that. And if you do admit fault right away, I mean, your insurance company may be on the hook for that, even though it wasn't your fault. So be remorseful, obviously, but just don't admit anything. Obviously, if you're texting and driving, it's your fault. Or if you were eating a sandwich and you were taking a drink of your soda and you couldn't see because the soda was so big and you crashed into somebody, yes, your fault. But sometimes if you don't really know what happened, it could be that scenario where someone else blew a red light and they hit you and you didn't know and all that stuff. So just don't admit fault. Let the officer decide on whose fault it was, okay? Then we are going to go over to carrying a projected load. So that's what I was talking about. Like if you go to Menards and you got a bunch of wood in the back, you're going to need to make sure that there is a flag on the back. If you are campers and trailers, if you're hauling a camper or trailer, making sure that you have the right size ball hitch. I do have an instructor here where when she was in high school at the Forest Lake High School, I went to high school with her. She actually was driving to Forest Lake with her mom and a trailer became unhitched and it did crash into their car and her mom got into an accident, and unfortunately her mom did pass away from that trailer not being properly hooked up. So I'm going to play you a video. This is not her scenario, but this is the same thing that I just kind of told you happened in Minnesota. Someone's trailer became unhitched and they died as well. So I want to make sure that you remember to properly have the proper chains, you have the hitch pin, you have the proper ball hitch, all of those things when you're carrying a load, whether it be a boat, whether it be a trailer, whether it be a camper. They're all are different size ball hitches. So you need to make sure that if you are driving, even if someone else set it up for you, you are responsible. Even if someone, your boyfriend, your whatever, someone's dad, they hooked it up for you, you are responsible to go back and check and make sure that that is hooked up properly. Even if you don't know how, well, here, we're going to show you how to do it. You can't be like, oh, I don't know how. Well, but you'll see here in this video, the same girl, she didn't know how to hook it up, but she was still responsible and someone else passed away. So we will play this video here. And then number 3 is going to be your next question, the importance of a proper size ball hitch, okay? Kind of a sad one. I cried when I first watched it. I was like, oh my God.
We'll go on up here, okay?
For many families, Memorial Day weekend is a time for travel.
Okay.
But this is one trip no wife and mother should ever have to make.
Oh, there's Daddy and Izzy.
Yeah.
3 years after the funerals, State Trooper Kelly McGraw still struggles with what he saw.
Yeah.
Jeremy Cox had taken his 2 children, Izzy and Liam, to the library. A beautiful Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. A trailer being towed by a pickup truck approached in the other lane and broke free.
This was tough.
Hitched first through the windshield, the trailer tore through the driver's side of Jeremy's Honda CRV. Jeremy was killed instantly. 11-month-old Liam, seated behind the passenger seat, was untouched, but 3-year-old Izzy died strapped in her car seat, sitting just behind her dad. Christy Cox, wife and mom, would soon get the news.
And I just fell to the ground. All the air just left me. My world just shattered.
The entire community of Houston felt the loss. Jeremy was Christy's high school sweetheart, a volunteer firefighter, and president of the Friends of the Library. His parents owned the local hardware store, and Izzy owned all their hearts. But the grief only intensified as the cause of the crash emerged.
This should never have happened.
Trooper McGraw soon discovered the reason the trailer had unhitched from the truck.
The trailer had been connected with a hitch pin like this, but the investigation showed the pin was missing this clip.
This security image, taken at a salvage yard the morning of the crash, shows not only the missing clip at the end of the pin, but just one of the trailer's required safety chains.
The guidelines for safety devices in Minnesota is that there should be 2 of them.
Jay Sletton inspects vehicles for the Minnesota State Patrol.
It only takes one time.
He says drivers bear a huge responsibility to make sure hitches can handle a trailer's weight,
This is 3,500 pounds.
are equipped with the right size ball,
This is 1 7/8 inch, and this is 2 inch.
and have properly attached latches and chains.
Right in here, those chains cross. So if we were to drop this down, it would sit right in here where these chains cross.
Now, we're going to do something you would never do. We are intentionally disabling this latch.
With the trailer we purchased for this purpose, on a MnDOT closed course at 50 miles an hour, the trailer comes off the hitch. The trailer flails from side to side, but the chains pull. No one gets hurt.
That's why we have safety chains.
But on the next run, we won't. Same course, same speed,
He's moving.
no change. Unhitched trailers do not head straight down the road. Once a trailer detaches, the driver is powerless to stop it.
Just think about that tiny little girl.
Christy often visits the bedroom she and Jeremy decorated for Izzy.
She loved her bedroom
Even the clothes in the hamper remain untouched.
because once I wash them, they will smell like her. 3 years later, I just can't.
If Christie's loss is not reason enough for you to take a second look before heading out on the highway with a trailer, consider one other perspective. This is the booking photo of Amanda Engelhardt, who was driving the pickup pulling the trailer that killed Jeremy and Izzy.
It's a split second. It's just one day. Changed my whole life. Changed someone else's whole family. I'll never be the same.
Amanda didn't own the trailer or hook it up. A family friend did. But as the driver, state law held her responsible.
You don't ever get over something like this.
She was sent to jail for 30 days.
I'm sorry.
Who is a firefighter? That's right, he was.
Too young to remember his dad and sister, Liam is learning how they lived.
Where's your princess crown?
Someday, when he's older, he'll also learn how they died over a $10 chain and a 59-cent clip.
Bye-bye, Daddy and Izzy. We'll see you later, and we love you.
Going back to that dark day was not easy for Christy Cox, but she told us she agreed to the interview out of the hope that people who see the story will think about her husband and their daughter every time they hook up a trailer, that they'll check and double check to make sure both safety chains are connected and that all the clips and pins are in the proper place. The State Patrol has some great resources, a good refresher for experienced towers, a must for beginners. And we've set up links to that information on our website, air11.com.
Boy, it was so powerful to see, like you said, it doesn't go straight down the road. You might think, well, if it comes off, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but just veered off immediately.
You know, when we were doing that demonstration last week up at that MnDOT closed road, we asked the experts, the people from the Department of Public Safety and from the State Patrol, what's going to happen when that trailer comes off? They said it's anyone's guess. It's not predictable.
Powerful story.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, Boyd.
Thank you.
All right. Sad story. That poor mom never even washed the clothes in the hamper. I cannot imagine. That is so sad. So we're turning the page here. We're going to go to winter driving. You know, if you do get into the ditch in the snow, I mean, it happens. We live in Minnesota. They say to use the rocking method. If you get in there just a little bit, but you're not like too fat, like too far into the ditch. I know it sounds weird. You can be like really in the ditch, or you can just be like kind of in the ditch. If you're kind of in the ditch and you feel like you can try to get out yourself, people use the rocking method, the forward, reverse, and try to get out. Tow trucks are pretty expensive, about $500. So people do try to get out themselves. Sometimes you're past the point of no return where you do need to call it a tow truck, and that happens. But just make sure that if you are in the ditch, like I said earlier, you get out of the car and you clear your exhaust pipe. It can definitely save your life while you were sitting there and waiting for the tow truck. Okay. And then we're going to go over to skidding. If you are entering the freeway and for some reason the butt end of your car starts to skid and you feel like you're getting out of control, it's happened to me before. I've definitely seen it happen to other people on the road. So you're going down the freeway and the butt end of your car starts to get out of control and start fishtailing. What you're going to do is you're going to take your foot off of the gas, off of the brake, and you're going to steer where you want to go. I know that the first thought in your mind is, I need to hit the brakes. I don't want to be doing this, but that's actually the last thing you want to do. You do not want to hit the brakes when you are skidding or when you are hydroplaning. And we're going to talk about hydroplaning right now as well, right here. And then we'll have a movie for you too. Oh, it looks like they rearranged it. Right here, it's driving in a heavy rain or fog. If you could write right after that equals low beams, that would be great. This one's a little bit out of order compared to my manual. I'm not sure if it's the same as yours, but driving in a heavy rain or fog, we're always going to want to use our low beams. You think that you would want more light to see, but that's just not the case. You always want to have your low beams on in a fog. So right, driving in a heavy rain or fog, right, equals low beams right after that. Okay, and then it looks like it's hydroplaning is right after that. Okay, so hydroplaning, I think I've explained it to you guys before, but hydroplaning is you're driving on a thin layer of water. Honestly, I teach driver's ed and it's scary to me when it happens. It happens for a good 3, 5 to 7 seconds, could be longer, could be a little bit shorter. But you are riding on a thin layer of water. Your tires are no longer in contact with the road. You're riding on a thin layer of water and you are not able to brake, accelerate, or steer. It's frightening. But if you just take a deep breath and if you do not hit the brake, you will be okay. Hydroplaning starts at 35 miles per hour or less. Hydroplaning is like when you're riding on the water, your tire treads, the water needs a path to follow and escape. So if you have good tire tread, you are less likely to hydroplane because that water has a path to follow and escape. If you have very bald tires, that water will have no path to follow. So you'll continue to hydroplane. So the better your tires are, the less likely you are to hydroplane. The best kind of example that I can give you is in the summertime, when snowmobiles are riding across the lake, they're riding so fast in the summertime that they're staying above the water. They're driving so fast that they're hydroplaning. They're staying above the water. That's what we're doing when we're outside on the road. We're driving so fast that we're staying above the water. If the snowmobile were to slow down, they touch the bottom of the lake. If we were to slow down, we touch the road surface, okay? So we have that hydroplaning show to show you really quick. And this is our last show of the day, guys.
The weather can present traffic hazards. Take rain. It's a hazard from the moment the first drops fall. This is when rain first mixes with oil and dust on the pavement. It's very slick. This is what happens. The dirt and oil float to the top of the water. So tires ride not only on the slippery surface of water, but also directly on the even more slippery surface of oil and dirt. It's no wonder so many crashes happen just after it starts raining. Eventually, dust and oil wash away, but plenty of hazards remain. Rain, especially heavy rain, limits your ability to see. It's hard for you to see what's going on, and it's hard for other people to see you. In addition to making it difficult to see, rain keeps roads slippery. Traction becomes a critical issue, and hydroplaning, a real danger. 3 main factors cause a car or truck to hydroplane: speed, tread depth, and water depth. The faster your car or truck goes, the more traction you lose on a wet surface. The more worn your tires are, and the shallower the tread, the more likely your car is to hydroplane. Even a thin layer of water can cause your car to lose traction. But as the water gets deeper, you lose traction sooner.
It all happens in a space no bigger than the bottom of a size 9 shoe. Now picture this. It's a smooth roadway. There's moderate rain, and you're traveling at 60 miles per hour. Under these conditions, each tire has to move away about 1 gallon of water every second. All in a space no bigger than this shoe.
Each gripping element of the tread is on the ground even less time, 1/50th of a second. During this fleeting moment, the gripping element must move the water from beneath the tire and then grip the road surface. If this doesn't happen, your car may likely hydroplane.
When a car hydroplanes, the most important thing that someone needs to remember is don't panic.
First, do not brake or accelerate suddenly. Since hydroplaning is a loss of traction to the front tires, sudden braking on a front or rear wheel drive slows the front tires but locks the rear tires. This can cause a spin out. Also, sudden acceleration on a front or rear wheel drive may take the vehicle straight ahead. This could be dangerous if the vehicle is pointed toward the edge of the roadway. According to some driving experts, what you should do depends on the type of vehicle you're in. Listen for the type of vehicle you drive. A front-wheel drive with an anti-lock brake system and traction control system. Front-wheel drive without an anti-lock brake system and traction control system. A rear-wheel drive with an anti-lock brake system and traction control system. If you begin to hydroplane in one of these types of cars, then some driving experts suggest you do this. Look for open space and plan to travel in that direction. Stay lightly on the accelerator and steer gently toward the open space which you have identified. If you were in a rear-wheel drive without an anti-lock brake system and traction control system, then do this. Look for open space and plan to travel in that direction. Ease off the accelerator and steer towards the open space which you have identified. Traction control systems, by the way, have been installed in vehicles for a number of years now, but everyone may not be familiar with it. This is a system that prevents tires from spinning under acceleration. If your vehicle has a traction control system, there should be an icon indicating so on your dashboard.
Another note, it's important not to have the cruise control engaged in heavy rain due to a sudden acceleration problem. The vehicle will recognize the water buildup as a slowdown and ask for more power. This need for more power may shift, causing the vehicle to shift to a lower gear and build more water under the tires. This causes a cycle of more power and more push on the front tires.
You can avoid hydroplaning by making sure the tread on your tires is thick enough and by slowing down. Here's a good rule of thumb for checking your tread. Stick a penny upside down in your tread. If Lincoln's head is hidden, then your tread is thick enough. If the tread doesn't hide Lincoln's head, then your tread is too thin and you need new tires. When it comes to speed on a wet road, slow down by about 1/3 of what you would normally drive. For example, if you normally drive 60 miles per hour on a dry highway, slow down to 40 when it's wet.
All right. So if you were looking at the outline, number 4 was at the beginning of this movie. It says, why does hydroplaning happen the first few minutes of rain? And hopefully you wrote that answer down, but that's because a lot of that oil from the road comes up and it makes it very slippery as well. Okay. So we are turning the page and we're going to go over to a stuck gas pedal. Never had it happen to me, but if you ever get a stuck gas pedal, you are going to pull it up with your toe, not your hand. We would never want to lose vision of the road ahead. Okay. So try to lift it up with your toe. It's never happened to me, but if so, go with that toe. Then we're gonna go to carbon monoxide poisoning. If you could highlight colorless, all this right here. It's a colorless, odorless gas produced by your engine. People do commit suicide this way, so you may be doing it to yourself and not even know. Say if you're in your garage and it's wintertime and you're warming up your car, if all the doors are tightly closed, I mean, you are at risk of getting carbon monoxide poisoning. I've had carbon monoxide poisoning before in my husband's garage. It just wasn't properly ventilated. I felt dizzy and disoriented, and I knew that I needed to get out and get fresh air. As soon as I had fresh air, I definitely felt a lot better. The only medicine for somebody with carbon monoxide poisoning is fresh air. And if you could also highlight right here, carbon monoxide can render a person unconscious within a few minutes. That is a permit test question. They're going to ask you, what's it smell like? What's it look like? Obviously, they're very big on the carbon monoxide poisoning because it happens in your vehicle. If you're warming up your car and even though you're in the house, but there's a room above your garage, all that carbon monoxide could go up to that person's room if the room or the garage is not properly ventilated. At the bottom here in this big blank space, I wrote fresh air because that's the only good medicine for somebody with carbon monoxide poisoning to get that fresh air. In the state of Minnesota, they have a law called Jacob's Law. And there was a mom that brought a sandwich out to her son for lunch, and he was putting subs in his car in the middle of winter. And even though the garage was up, he was passed out on the floor and he passed away because all that carbon monoxide wanted to stay inside, even though the garage was open. So they want you guys to be aware that, you know, you could be doing that to yourself without even knowing it. So make sure that everything is properly ventilated, make sure that the doors are open, make sure if you went into the ditch, your exhaust pipe is clear so you're not getting the carbon monoxide poisoning, okay? Takes just a few minutes to affect your body, just a few minutes, colorless, odorless gas produced by your engine. All right, so the rest of the day, you have your study guide, you have 2 Kahoots, you should do everything in the order that I have posted online for you guys. So we have a study guide, 58 questions. You'll never have another study guide again. You only had one last week and this week on the most important chapters. Then you'll do a Kahoot on all the distances, and then you'll do the actual distances worksheet. Yeah, you have a couple of things to do today, but if you have any questions, you know, let me know. You can text that phone number. Otherwise, good luck. And then also turn in those 4 questions from the outline. There was only 4 today. You have a lot of other work, but I just still wanted to kind of make sure that you watch this, okay? But otherwise, everybody have a fabulous day or evening. I don't know when you're watching this, but it's been a pleasure, and we will see you next time.